I'm your CBS Makaiser here at the Old Mutual Wisdom Forum 2016, and it gives me great pleasure to have a couple of minutes of conversation with the Managing Director of Old Mutual Corporate, Clement Chinaka. Clement, thanks so much for engaging on some of the issues.
Thank you, CBS.
I want to start by asking why it is important for Old Mutual to be engaging a couple of development economists and also to be able to get business to think about political economy and not just about the number crunching that I know you guys love when you wear your hats as actuaries.
To help customers to plan and formulate their strategies for their businesses. We have about 6,500 corporate customers as Old Mutual Corporate, and we believe it's a network that we can leverage and do our part for the betterment of South Africa.
The theme for this particular Wisdom Forum, of course, is whether or not globalization is crumbling, which is a wonderfully provocative question because some might say globalization is an inevitable part of the way in which the world is structured in terms of business, in terms of politics, and also socially. What is your personal view, Clement, about globalization? Is globalization in crisis? Is it possible to be isolationist? Is that even feasible? How does this question about globalization and whether it's crumbling strike you?
I think where we come with this topic, it's observing the recent events. Like I said, at Wisdom Forum, we try to tackle topical events at a particular point in time. And if you look at what happened this year, for example, Britain voted to leave the EU, closer home, South Africa is voting to leave the ICC, for example. And if you look at what's happening today, the 8th of November in the US, there is a very unlikely candidate who 5 years ago nobody would have thought would have even made it to be an official nominee for a major political party. So we are seeing this nativist sentiment sweeping the world. You look at Europe, the refugee crisis, anti-immigrants, all those things. These are things inflicting upon the world right now, and with that comes impacts on the global economic growth. And that is something that we worry about in insurance, because in my business, we are looking after people's retirement savings. And that is quite something that is important in terms of how those investments can grow. Because the whole point of retirement funds is to answer the question, how can we help people to achieve a decent retirement? And for you to retire, you need to have saved money, and that money, the amount that you get at retirement, is driven to a large extent by two factors: how much you contribute and how much you earn in terms of investment return on that money. So the impact of globalization on this sphere of our business is crucial.
That leads me nicely to the next question then. How hard is it to do business when some of the exogenous factors that determine the success of your bottom line and of the value of the investments of your clients depend on what happens in the political landscape, especially as you've so nicely summarized a political crisis in the global system potentially that's playing out? It must be very hard for business to be doing business as usual when one of the externalities that determine your fate is the health of the global political system.
I think doing business is always hard every time. It's either it's hard because of exogenous factor like the economy, or if the economy is doing very well, it's hard because of competing amongst each other as businesses. So that's what we get paid for as management, to make sure we make the best possible outcome for our shareholders in that circumstance. But looking at the economic growth, for example, as an exogenous factor that is affecting us, and politics, I think, because of the speed at which information travels right now across the world, it's a little bit more volatile, because in the past, imagine 1920, you would hear after 2 weeks that something happened on the other side of the world, but now you hear it instantly and people react. So you can see right now, you can possibly predict to a very high level of certainty what's going to happen tomorrow on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, for example, just by looking at what's happening in Europe, what's happening in America, and what's happening in Asia before you wake up. And you can see exactly what's happening. So there are tools, And management, I think we have developed skills now to try and navigate around these things. So, yeah, we have to earn our keep.
Clement, thank you for being in conversation with me.
Well, thank you.